Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Interesting little twist here regarding the whole intersex boxers issue that we saw a lot of at the last Olympics last year. The IBA, the International Boxing Association, they announced in a statement on Monday that they're filing a complaint with Swiss Attorney General Stefan Blatter against the International Olympic Committee, citing safety concerns over gender eligibility. And similar complaints have already been filed in France and the US. Now, the IBA's complaint specifically mentions Algeria's Imane Khelif and Taiwan's Ling, both of whom won gold medals at the 2024 Olympics in the women's code, even though they're not trans boxers, they're intersex boxers. Very much a different thing. I've done, videos about this subject before, so go and have a look at those. I'm not going to go through it again, but it is what it is. All right. So the boxing body. Now, before we go any further, actually, the IBA, International Boxing Association, was stripped of its authority as part of the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, for having any authority over boxing because of the alleged corruption, and I think we all agree that the Russian influence in the IBA, it is predominantly Russian controlled. Yes, corruption has been pretty rife, some of it proven and some of it not proven. With regard to the IOC, though, they're hardly Snow White either. The IOC has a history of all sorts of, shall we say, contradictions and not necessarily behaving in the best interests of the athletes. But the IBA cited US President Donald Trump's executive order banning transgender women from female sports as validation of its stance. Trump has called Khelif a male boxer in his speech after signing the order last week. Look, if you watched my videos before, you'll know that I consider Donald Trump to be an infantile, rather childish, extremely dangerous and rather pathetic figure. But I do agree with him 100% about the executive order banning transgender women from female sports. Absolutely agree with him on that. What I don't agree with is the IBA using this as a sort of rod to beat Khelif and Yu-Ting with, because they are intersex boxers. They're not trans boxers, all right? I cannot think of anything more misogynistic than men, essentially, well, biological men, if you prefer that phrase, beating up women or real women. I will not use the word cis. Fuck that word. They're real women. Okay, I will not, or biological women, if you prefer. If you prefer that phrase, I can just about live with that. But I cannot think of anything more repulsive than men beating up women. That's the bottom line. But Imane Khelif and Ling are not transgender boxers. They are intersex. So for the IBA to talk about Trump's executive order, I mean, to me, it's not relevant. Even though I agree with what Trump has said on that, but it's just about the only thing I do agree with him on. I just disagree with the fact that's relevant to this particular argument regarding these two particular boxers. Now, Khelif has always competed as a woman, and I think the issue was that both Khelif and Yu-Ting they failed gender eligibility tests in 2023 for the World Championships, and yet they were allowed to box as women in the women's code in the Olympics. But as I say, the IBA lost its Olympic recognition over governance issues, and the IOC took control of boxing and cleared Khelif to compete in Paris. Well, that may be a case of one set of crooks taking over from another. And okay, I mean, this is going to rage for a long, long time. To me, it's always been a safety issue. I don't give a fuck about whether you want to call them intersex, transgender. I don't give a fuck about that. To me, the issue is safety. Are the women, the biological women, what I would call the real women who participate in women's boxing, are they looked after properly? Are the safety standards the same? And of course, it's not just about testosterone levels. It's about muscle mass, length and size of ligaments, your skeletal frame. It's about all sorts of things. It isn't just about testosterone. Okay. And the IBA, the IBA has said, it's said of itself that it's an organisation that it's concerned about broader principles of fairness and due process in sport. And it said in its statement that the IOC's decision to permit both boxers, Yu-Ting and Khelif, to participate in the Olympic qualifiers and win golds in Paris has denied opportunities to deserving female athletes. Again, it's not a trans issue, it's an intersex issue, but in terms of safety, there is still a case to be heard. Okay. And Khelif has been, vocal about it already. She says, for 2 years, I've taken the high road while my name and image has been used, unauthorized, to further personal and political agendas through the spreading and dissemination of baseless lies and misinformation. Yes. And very often, those political agendas have been very much pro-trans. All right, not necessarily anti-trans, but yes, your name has been used. Silence is no longer an option, says Khelif. So Imane Khelif is going to stand firm over this, as you would expect. But of course, it bears mentioning that boxing is under threat as far as its Olympic status goes. I mean, Gennady Golovkin has been, not too long ago, was roped in as someone who will continue to campaign for boxing to continue to be included in the Olympics. He's a sort of ambassador, if you like. And yeah, it's touch and go whether boxing sticks around at the Olympics. I don't know. I mean, this is going to be an issue that's going to not go away. This is going to be something that, if you want to talk about carrying on, including boxing in the Olympics, the whole intersex trans argument will continue. It exists in other sports. Of course it does. Of course it does. There was a runner whose name escapes me who was banned from competing because he, whatever, an intersex person, was deemed to have an unfair advantage over females. That was the IOC's decision. And yet the IOC also decided that Khelif and Yu-Ting were allowed to box despite having very, very similar intersex characteristics, predominantly male characteristics. So, whichever side you want to fall on, they talk about taking each case on its own merits, which in theory is a good idea. But of course, there is going to be no line that's ever going to be drawn which is going to suit everyone. There never, ever is. There will always be exceptions to any rule. But we'll see where it goes. We will see where it goes. Anyway, very interesting. A little war going on between the IBA and the IOC. I wonder who's going to win this one. Two drunks in a car park having a scrap. What do you think? Anyway, let me know if you've got any comments, any thoughts, any theories. And yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button. Do all that good stuff. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and bye for now.